Good morning. Good morning. I hope all of you are well this morning. I was going to be outside. I was outside on the porch, but Matt's working on the tractor doing some stuff, and I was afraid it would be too loud. So I'm back in the basement. But it is warm enough today that I could be on the porch. I could be there. Maybe next week, that's where I'll be. So our dogwood winter has finally broken, and the warm weather come back. So it was nice yesterday. Looks like it's going to be nice today, and the cool weather has receded again. It'll be back. We'll still have blackberry winter, but it won't be as cool, I'm sure, as the dogwood winter was. So I hope all of you had a wonderful Easter yesterday. We had such a good day. We just had a wonderful, wonderful Easter. Of course, as believers, that's the most important thing, that, studying and dwelling and worshiping on the fact that our Lord Jesus Christ died for our sins, and rose again, so that we might have eternal life. That was a beautiful thing. It always is on Easter, so that was wonderful. And we had a really nice church service, and Paul and the girls sung, and some other people sung, which was really good, kind of a special thing. But it was a wonderful, wonderful service, and just a spirit-filled day. Really felt the Lord's Spirit, and wonderful to dwell on all He's done for us, and Jesus's death and resurrection, especially yesterday. So it was a really great day. Paul and Granny actually did last week. I showed you a card that Granny had made, and then they sung a song for Easter. So I'll go ahead and put that in there. I'll put it in the description below too. But that was the Old Rugged Cross, which is perfect for Easter. So Paul and Granny did that and put it on the Blind Pig and the Acorn channel. Kind of is just another message of us saying Happy Easter, and what a wonderful thing Easter is, for sure. After church, we all gathered at my nephew Ben's house and his wife Rachel, and we ate good food and had a lot of fun and fellowship. So that was really special too. Seeing all the little ones, all the great granny's great grandkids, many of my great nieces and great grandsons. Those are what they would be to me. But seeing them all, and of course my grandsons, seeing all of them together, playing and running around, it was really, really joyful. And it was a beautiful day. So they got to play outside. Woodrow and Ira got to swing for the first time, other than in the little baby swings that you have, in the house. But they got to swing for the first time on like a swing set, and they really loved it. And so it was a really, really nice time with family and friends, and lots of fellowship. And Corey and Katie did a video of kind of the whole day. I didn't get the link to it, but if you go to the Presley Girls YouTube channel, you'll be able to see it. So you'll be able to see a peek into our day. It was just a lovely day. And as a believer, most importantly, it was because we celebrate Jesus's Resurrection Day. That's what the old timers, what they would call it, is Resurrection Day instead of Easter. So I hope that if you check out their video, you can get that peek, and I hope if you do, you'll enjoy it. I was talking about the weather. It much improved from those cool weather we had last week, downright chilly. Dogwood winter had some big frost even. So it's feels much more like spring of the year now. We've been dry though still, but I was looking at our local radio station, WKRK, looking this morning on their weather forecast for the following week, and it looks like we're going to get some rain, or chances of rain, all week long. So that's wonderful. That'll really help people's gardens. But there's also still fires. I was not aware that I thought they all got put out with the last rain, but there's still a fairly large fire in Swain County. Now there may be in other places too. I'm not sure. But so hopefully if we do get all that rain, it will help put those out. I know a lot of people had to be evacuated, and I got a a notice on my phone is how I was like, I thought the fire was out, but then further investigation realized no, there's still a fire in Swain County and maybe in other places too. But I'm hopeful that rain, and praying that rain will really help put those fires out for good, if we do get rain every day like they're saying that we might. So I hope so. I'm really anxious. If you watched mine and Matt's video last night, you know that we all as a family, one day last week, we went over to Satterfield's, and so I got some beautiful, beautiful flowers. I'm really anxious to plant them. A lot of them I'm going to put in containers, so I'm really tempted. I've got a kind of a full day scheduled, but I would love to kind of rearrange my schedule and get outside and plant a lot of them, just because I know that rain's going to come. I love to do that before rain, so that then that's a little bit less watering that you have to do, and then rain does something that watering just doesn't do. So I know that the rain would be better for the plants too. So I hope, I'm tempted to try to work on that today. Now we will have more frost, so that has to be in my mind. If the pots I could carry into the greenhouse, maybe I could cover stuff up. I don't know. But then there's part of me that thinks I just want to go for it and plant them and just see what happens, see if they all survive, and maybe they will. So I hope so. Thank you so much. Last week, we shared a lot of prayer requests. Thank you so much for praying for all those people. I hope you'll continue to do that and continue to leave your prayer request in the chat. I've been praying for all of you and those that left that. And of course, the ones that we were praying for last week. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you. I know so many of you pray for Granny. Thank you for praying for her too. One more thing I'll say about Easter. If you read The Blind Pig and the Acorn, you've already seen this, but I'll read it to you. It won't take but a minute. But Miss Cindy, Matt's mother, long years before she passed away, she had her grandmothers. So it'd be Matt's great grandmother that he can't remember. She died before he was born, or either when he was really, really young. Anyway, but she had her collection of like a scrapbook of postcards and things, just beautiful old postcards in it. And I found in it, I've used several of them over the years on The Blind Pig and the Acorn, but I really quickly found one that I loved, which was The Legend of the Dogwood. Now, a lot of you may be familiar with that, but if you're not, I'll read it really quickly here to you. So it was just on, it's like I should have brought it with me and showed it to you, but it's like a black background, and it's got the text, and then it's got the dogwood blooms on it. But The Legend of the Dogwood. At the time of the crucifixion, the dogwood had reached the size of the mighty oak tree. So strong and firm was the wood that it was chosen as the timber for Jesus's cross. To be used for such a cruel purpose greatly distressed the dogwood. While nailed upon it, Jesus sensed this, and in his compassion said, "Because of your pity for my suffering, never again shall the dogwood tree grow large enough to be used for a cross. Henceforth it shall be slender, bent, and twisted, and its blossoms shall be in the form of a cross, 2 long and 2 short petals. In the center of the outer edge of each petal will be the print of nails. In the center of the flower, stained with blood, will be a crown of thorns, so that all who see it will remember." Real sweet little legend there. And I don't remember who first showed me when I was a girl, but someone did. I don't remember. It might have even been like might have been Eunice Martin, might have been one of my Sunday school teachers. But anyway, showed me the dogwood, showed us and the petals and how they do look like. Once you read that and you look at a dogwood petal or a bloom, you'll see that it's a cross with the crown of thorns and with the blood of the nails, nail scarred hands there. So it's really a sweet little legend. And I wanted to share it. If you read The Blind Pig, you've already know that. I shared it this week on there, or last week. I guess I shared it on Easter. I guess I shared it yesterday. We do, looking at my notes, we do have a few, let's see if I can get the link, a few more mugs. And then also I added some egg separators. Rob made us some more egg separators. So they're all in the Etsy shop. Of course, our cookbook is in there too, mine and Jim Cassida's, and CDs. A lot of you, thank you so much, have been buying those CDs, and I appreciate it. And I sure do hope you enjoy the music of Pap and Paul, some of them, and then some of them Pap and his brother Ray, and Paul's in there too. He's playing the guitar in there too. So you can check that out for mugs and for egg separators. That was a lot of people had been asking for those, and for the also for the cookbook. Paul shared some really fun songs last week. I thought on the Blind Pig and the Acorn channel. Now the first one is it was well, I'll show you the second one first, but he showed me what was best for me. That was one that Pat wrote, and it's a really, really short song, so it won't take you long to hear it. But at the end of that video, and Paul talks about the song and gives a lot of detail, but Paul shares a video that a gentleman made for him several years ago, and it's like one of those Paul says the name of it. I can't remember what you call it, but you've seen videos like that where it's just like words and different like combinations and like coming at you across the screen. Anyway, it's a video made to the song. You can hear Pap and Ray and Uncle Henry's on that too. Hear them playing it, but then the words are just coming across the screen. So it's really neat. There's a word for that, and I can't think of what it is, but Paul tells you in the video what it is. So that one is really a neat video. And in that, he talks about he's still selling those old records of Pap and Ray. So he talks more about that. You can hear that. A lyric video. Yes, a lyric video. That's it. A lyric video. So let's see. The other one, though, that's the one that I wanted to share, is really fun because it's songs from, and Paul sings about 3 songs, maybe 4 songs in this one, but it's songs from this record that Paul and I had when we were young. And the video, I've told you about it several weeks ago, and then he didn't get to show the video because we had some technical difficulties. When he come up to film me doing my part, he was going to test me on what I could remember from the record, which wasn't much. But his camera was set for his house, and then I turned on an extra light, and it just I didn't see it, but Paul said we look like aliens. So he ended up just figuring out how to he just used the audio, and then he's just got a picture of me and Paul. So you can go see that picture. We're pretty cute. We're on the sitting on the swing set, and we had our, swings, you can adjust them. So I'm sitting on Paul's swing, obviously, because I'm sitting close to the ground, and he's sitting on mine because his legs are not even remotely touching the ground. But he's got on his coonskin hat and his little Daniel Boone, like a little leather thing that he would wear when we would play outside. And of course, we're barefooted. It's in the summer, but it's a sweet picture. But anyway, you can go see that picture, but hear us talk about the songs. But we loved that record, and we played it all the time. And it's funny, I thought of, not me and Paul could think of more songs. We tested ourselves, that was on it. And the ones I thought of, I think I only thought of about 4. But then once he started telling his, I was like, oh, how did I not remember that song? And then at the end, we turned the record over, and it was a 3-record compilation, like one of those sets. We turn it over and go through them, and then both of us are amazed that we didn't think of, like Tom T. Hall's I remember the day Clayton Delaney died, how we didn't remember that was on there, because that was just like our favorite song. And there's some others that we just could not believe that we didn't remember was on there. But we used to have so much fun listening to that record. And music was, of course, a big part of our lives, with Pap playing music all the time, and it's being around music at church, and it was just a huge part of our lives. But we really loved to listen to music like that too, though. I guess secular, you'd say, secular music. And me and Paul both, we would, Steve and Paul had to share a room. I had a room by myself since I was the only girl, and we're spread out. So Steve is 5 years older than me, and then I'm almost 5 years older than Paul. So there's about a 10-year difference between Steve and Paul, and they had to share a room. So Steve would want his room all neat and nice and took care of, and then Paul was still little and didn't care. And so as soon as Steve would leave to go somewhere or he would leave to go to work. He started working early in life. Me and Paul I would have Steve's, they had twin beds, and I'd get on Steve's bed and Paul be on his bed, and we'd listen to music, and we just really enjoyed it and had such good memories of those songs. And um, really, some of the ones we loved, like one of the ones I couldn't remember that was on it, Paul did, was The Promised Land, like about traveling across the United States. It's real peppy and upbeat. But then there was some on there that was really sad, and we liked those, like the Grand Tour, George Jones, and BJ the DJ. We loved that one. It's one of our very favorites, to the point that I think we felt like we knew him, like he was somebody we personally knew, and we would just mourn over that he didn't listen and he took the curve too fast. And anyway, great memory. So you can go and watch that video, Songs from Tipper and Paul's Favorite Record. It definitely was. And I said I should check and see if they had ever made it in CD form so I could listen to it again. Paul still got the record, but it's really, some of them are favorites, like how if you're somebody that remembers records and you played records a lot, what happens to your favorites is they get so scratched that they get hung up on the record player. So it's not in the best of shape for sure, but we loved that record and listened to it all the time. And those songs really, really meant a lot to us. And I can't believe some of the ones we didn't remember, neither one of us. Paul remembered more than me, but I was surprised. Some of those we should have definitely remembered. I'm not sure what kind of videos we'll share this week. Thinking about this week's videos, one of them though I did already film. It will be one of those cold days last week. I made another pot of potato soup. Still not my recipe, but way better than the crazy one we made for Katie. Katie has pretty much went back to her normal diet. It's just an answered prayer, and for her, but also for little Ira, that things are not bothering him like they did. And the pediatrician said most of the time, by the time they're a year old, they just outgrow all these allergies. They just outgrow them. So seems like that's what's happened. So it's really, really great. Anyway, on one of those cold days, I was wanting a pot of potato soup. I made potato soup, but Saturday was the anniversary of when Pap died. And I can't believe it's been 9 years. I just can't even believe it. Yesterday, more than one person said, "Wonder what Pap would think about this, about all those little ones running around," because there's still some of them. Woodrow can't run around, and little baby Ezra is younger than Woodrow, so he can't run around. Although they both would like to, they both would like to. You can see them watching all the others running around. But more than one person said that, and I said, "Oh, he loved kids, so it would just be right up his alley. He would love it." Anyway, but Saturday was like I said, the 9th anniversary of his death, and it's so strange to know that he's been gone that long. And this time of the year, I always think about him a lot. I always think about him I think about him a lot anyway, but especially this time of the year because of the gardening. Gardening was such a big part of his life, and we made a garden every year. Him and Granny did, and put up the food, put up the bounty, and that's just what we eat. And then he taught me all that, and it's just this time of the year I just think about him so much, and wish I could call and ask him questions, and wish I could call and tell him stuff like, "Do you know I did this and it worked?" I would share all of my gardening stuff with him. Anyway, but because I was really thinking about him last week, that day that I made potato soup, I was trying to think of something sweet to go with it, something nice for dessert. And we just had cornbread with it, of course. But anyway, I made Pap's sweetbread. So you can watch for that video. I have a video, an old one where I made it before, but I made it again last week, and it was good. It's always good. And I even this time even opened it was a store bought, but can of peaches. He would have wanted Granny's home canned peaches on it. Mine was store bought, but they were still good. They were still really good. So I think, and then other than that, I don't know what me and Matt will have to do. We did get our shipment of or our delivery of materials for the shed. So the next step of the shed has to begin to happen. Of course, if it rains every day, like WKRK said, that may not happen this week, but at least we're ready. We're ready to go with that. I think I'm ready to share some wisdom with you. I so appreciate everybody that keeps sharing your wisdom. It's so wonderful that you keep sharing those memories of your grandparents, your parents, your aunts and uncles, school teachers, all those different things. And it's so important for us to, I think it's inspiring and practical, because if you put this wisdom into action, then your life's going to be better. So I think that's so great. Let's see if I can find where we start. Okay, this one was from Kim. This was from Kim. That poem reminded me of this. A man said, God doesn't exist and there are no miracles. Then God said, miracles are everywhere and you are a miracle too. Look around, see the trees and flowers, miracles all. The man said, well, anyone can grow a tree. God said, okay, show me. So the man went to the store and bought a seed to grow a tree. So then God saw him putting dirt in a pot to plant the seed. God said, what are you doing? The man said, I'm planting a tree to grow. And God said, oh, wait a minute. You need to make your own seed. That seed I made. So I like that, Kim. I've never heard that story before, but I like it. Thank you for sharing that. Lori says, my mother taught me to never put criticism in writing when writing someone, only praise. The person may hang on to that card or letter for years. That is so true, and so wise. And even if especially in writing, 'cause then you'd have something to hold on to. And if it was criticism, you go back and just more, just be like, why did I mess up so bad? But if it was praise, of course, you could go back and be like, well, that's an encouragement. But I wish I could even do that, like with my mouth, with speaking, to only praise. That's really great, Lori. Thank you. Thank you. Lorna said, my grandma used to say when I was overthinking or deciding on what to do or thinking someone has it better than I did, child, if you put all your troubles in a basket in a circle with everyone else and you could pick any basket, everyone would go pick up their own baskets. She was a woman with wise words. I miss her every single day. Thank you, Lorna, for sharing her wisdom. And that is so true. If we could compare ourselves like that, we'd realize we're not as bad as what we thought, our problems. So this is from Alicia, Words of Wisdom. As a girl, my grandmother would tell me when I had a list of chores to do, some of which I was dreading, do the chore you are dreading the most first. Then, once it is done, you will feel so good about your accomplishment that you will breeze through the rest of the chores on your list. That is so true. Getting the dreaded one out of the way gives you the enthusiasm to do the rest with a joyful heart. That is so true, Alicia. I don't always follow that though, but it is so true. Even if you feel overwhelmed, if I make a list and then of all the things I need to do, and then I cross off one or two, that just makes me feel like, okay, I think I can do the rest. But I'm not good at doing the one I don't want to do. I'm bad to save that one to the very last. So this next one is from, I'm probably going to say this wrong. Well, I can just say the channel, the Rooted Witness there. That'll save me. I probably mess up on the name. But just wanted to end with a bit of wisdom from my own family. My grandma was half native, half English. Her father was a residential school survivor who endured terrible abuse so bad that his back was disfigured for life. But he never turned bitter. Instead, he taught us to seek meaning, even in hardship. One of his favorite sayings was this: the longest road you'll ever walk is from your head to your heart. And I've never heard truer words. It's a reminder that knowing something in your mind is one thing, but truly understanding it, feeling it, and letting it shape how you live and treat others, that takes a different kind of journey, one that can last a lifetime. Now, thank you, Rooted Witness, so much for sharing that. What inspiration for someone like her grandma. Her grandma's father, I think it was her grandma's father, but had been through that, such terrible trauma that had been bestowed upon him that he was disfigured even to the point, he was And you know that was painful how he had to suffer with that, but then he never turned bitter. Instead, he taught us to seek meaning in every hardship. That is so beautiful. Thank you, and how inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. This is from Jason. Earl Campbell, one of the greatest NFL running backs of all times, his mother told him, "It takes a whole lot to be mean to people. It doesn't take much to be kind." That's really good wisdom there, and it's so true. It just takes such little to be kind, such little. And when you are mean to someone, it makes you feel so bad on the inside. But when you're kind to somebody, then you get the blessing of that wonderful, good feeling too. Blesses both of you. Rhonda says, words of wisdom. When I'm in a situation such as a doctor's office, calling to change an appointment, we live an hour away, or a clerk has a goof, I always say, if this is the worst thing that happens to me today, I've still had a good day. So many of the people who work in the public appreciate someone who has an understanding spirit. That's so true, and Rhonda, and that we should be kind to others like that. And then also, um, we all should just have that thought of, like, if this is the worst thing that happens, like something trivial that can really upset you, it upsets me, but if this is the worst thing that happens, then it's gonna be okay. So thank you, Rhonda, for that reminder. This is from Linda. On the words of wisdom is a quote that I always remember to be so true. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And Linda said that seemed so fitting with Easter being here. Thank you, Linda, for that. This is W Vest 1. If I told my mother wait when she asked me to do something, she said wait broke the bridge down. Also, if I said I might, she said might stay on chickens. I really love the might one. I've not heard that before. Might stay on chickens. I really love that. I've heard wait broke the wagon down, which is the same as the bridge, but thank you for sharing that. I love those. This is from Mary. Words of wisdom from my 11-year-old granddaughter. Grandma, my other well, it's her 11-year-old granddaughter's grandma on the other side. My other grandma, this is what her granddaughter said. My other grandma said we shouldn't say what if, but we should say even if. In other words, as believers, we know that even if something happens, good or bad, we know God will take care of us and that no matter what, He's in control. I also used to tell my children, I have 7, when something bad was happening or they were sick, just be patient. This time next week, this will be a memory. Hope those 2 bring a smile to your face and heart, Mary. Thank you, Mary. They sure do. Both of those are good, wise things to dwell on. One of my best friends growing up, still good friends today, when I first had Katie and Corey, she told me she had already had a child before me. She said, when you get, as a mother, you get frustrated, especially in those when they're infants, if they cry a lot and all that. I was very lucky. Corey and Katie both were just easy babies. But she said, my mama told me, and it really helped me, was just to keep telling yourself, this too shall pass, this too shall pass. So I always remember that. So thank you. That goes along the same lines. This too shall pass. And then you can look back, it won't go on forever, even though it feels like it might. This is from Saner. If every one of us kids said the other made us do something that got us in trouble, Mom would say, no one can make you do anything you don't want to do. Dad had some of his own. Don't be afraid to use what's between your ears. I like that. And less talking and more doing. I love how often memories come back while visiting with you. Well, I'm so glad you have those wonderful memories. And that we remind you of them. I love those. And the last one, less talking and more doing, reminds me of Pap when we would be playing music on Sunday afternoons. We'd get off talking about something, and he'd say, "All right, we gotta do something. Quit talking. We gotta play some music." This one's from Lisa. Words of wisdom. My grandmother, born 1899, would tell me worrying is like a lot like a rocking chair. You do a lot of it, but it gets you nowhere. That's a really good one, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that. This is from Angela. Words of wisdom. My mom always told us, be the shepherd, not one of the sheep. In other words, don't follow the crowd. That's a good one. This is from Tammy. My mama passed 6 weeks before my parents' 75th wedding anniversary. Can you imagine 75 years of marriage? What a wonderful accomplishment. People would always ask her advice, especially women that were about to become brides, about how to make a marriage last. The very first thing she would always say is never take more from a marriage than you are willing to give. Very wise, Tammy. Thank you so much for sharing that. Very wise. This one is Plain Jane shared. One little morsel of wisdom that I keep in mind, don't remember where I heard it, but it's buy once, cry once. Meaning, when considering a purchase, it may be tempting to go the cheaper route. And for some things, that's fine. But for other things, it's best to look for quality and pay once for a good thing rather than buy a cheaper version that you may have to replace again and again. Thank you. We were talking about that kind of stuff like in last week's live, so thank you for sharing that one. I really enjoyed this one. This is Joe White shared this one. I watched your live Tuesday and remembered some wisdom I heard years ago. I remembered it after you read the words of wisdom from someone's granddaughter who said the boy she liked stood in a bed of ants. That was so great, and it is special because it came from a young person. The one I heard was a mother was watching her little girl playing and just having a wonderful, wonderful time all by herself. And she asked her, "Honey, why are you so happy today?" And her daughter said to her, "Mommy, because I want to be." That's so amazing. We usually let the circumstances of our life dictate how we feel at any given moment. And yet, this little child reminds us that we can choose how we want to feel. I wish I could always remember that. I agree. That's so wonderful. Thank you. Out of the mouth of babes, for sure. Uh, that's it is so often, and I have to give myself little pep talks. Sometimes I get down and out about something, and I'm like, "No, now stop that." And one thing that works for me is Pap taught me is just to start thinking about all the things I have to be grateful for, even the little bitty things like, I have a nice home. I'm not out in the woods living, under a tree. I have shelter. I have food. I have my clothes I got on. I got some nice earrings, even just the tiniest things. Of course, for me as a believer, I have salvation, all those things. And then before you know it, your mood improves for sure. Tony shared, I have a couple of words of wisdom I thought I'd share. Happiness starts with you, not with your relationships, not with your job, not with your money, but with you. That is so true, Tony. So true. So true. Hard to hear, but so true. Hard to hear if you are somebody that struggles with that, and you keep thinking this will fix it. This will fix it. If I just got a better job, if I just had more money, if I just got a new car, if I just got this, if I got that, and it's not really what fixes it. And then the other one Tony shared is if the words don't add up, it's usually because the truth wasn't included in the equation. I've never heard that one, but I like that. I like that a lot. Thank you, Tony. And this is the last one. If you watched our video last night, or if you've ever watched any of the videos with Satterfield, you know about little Quincy, Pat and Betty's grandson. He is just great, and he knows so much because he grew up there. He knows so much about the plants and about the, from flowers to vegetables to whatever, and he knows a lot about, I don't know if you'd call it country living or what. He raises chickens, hatches his own eggs, and has his little beagles that he takes care of. So he's just the best little boy. But anyway, so Gentry said, it was on the video last night, I remember what Quincy recited to you this time last year. I liked it so much that I actually wrote it down. He said, don't lose your head to gain a minute. You need your head. Your brains is in it. What a sweet and sharp young fellow he is. It's so true. He is. He's just the best. Quincy is. He's something else, and we so enjoy spending time with him. And he took us on a little tour of their area this time, which was really, really nice. And of course, he helped me pick out some plants too. So we enjoyed being with him and Pat and Betty. They're just like family. Even though he's just a little kid, he's like my nephew or something like that. They're just all so precious. We just really, Really love them all. Well, I hope that each of you have a good week. Thank you so much for spending time with me this morning. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you had a blessed Easter, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. And I hope you'll come back next Monday and we'll chat some more. Leave me some more words of wisdom. They inspire me. I've heard from lots of you that they inspire you. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I love you all. Bye bye.